Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Buddham, buddham, buddham vande. Dhammam, dhammam, dhammam vande. Sangham, sangham, sangham vande. Buddham, dhammam, sangham vande. Samanta cakkavalesu atra gaccantu devata. Saddhammang munirajassa sunanto sagga mokkadam. Dhamma savana kalo ayam badanta. Dhamma savana kalo ayam badanta. Dhamma savana kalo ayam badanta. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Satipatthānaṁ ca vo bhikkhave desissāmi. Satipatthāna bhāvanaṁ ca satipatthāna bhāvanāgāmini patipadam ca. Homage to the exalted one, the worthy one, the perfectly enlightened one. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Dear friends in the Dhamma, today we are going to discuss Vibhanga Sutta, the discourse of analyzing of mindfulness. It comes in Samyutta Nikaya. In Buddhism, there are 5 major discourse collections. They are Digha Nikaya, Majjhima Nikaya, Samyutta Nikaya, Anguttara Nikaya, Khuddaka Nikaya. This Vibhanga discourse comes in Samyutta Nikaya. Here especially Buddha explains the nature of mindfulness and how we understand and how we recognize and how we practice mindfulness. You know, when we see the society, many people discuss mindfulness. And many people practice mindfulness, but especially we should understand the real meaning in mindfulness that Buddha has explained. This discourse is very important to recognize, understand what Buddhist mindfulness is. Before we come to this discourse, I would like to explain some primary Buddhist doctrines, as we do usually. And our main purpose of happiness. We do everything in the name of happiness. We study, we do jobs, we get married, we feed our children, we earn money, we go here and there. Actually, we do everything in the name of happiness. But unfortunately, day by day, we go away from real happiness. When our physical body is going to old age, when we reach some sicknesses, when we are reaching death, our real happiness gradually goes away. In this situation, we should understand what Buddha's message is. When we understand Buddha's message, we can understand the real way how we achieve the real happiness. While we are going to old age, while we are reaching death, we can improve our real happiness if we have real understanding what Buddha explained. Our happiness, our success, our satisfactoriness depends on how far we have purified our mind from negative thoughts. We should understand real enemies who disturb our peace of mind. We usually think that enemies are outside, but real enemies who disturb our inner peace are inside. What are the real enemies who disturb our peace of mind? Negative thoughts, defilements, hindrances. All of negative thoughts can be included into three. They are, I think, greed or craving or lustful desire, and anger. Especially, Buddhism explains the main enemy who causes to other defilements too is delusion. Our spiritual path decides, or our spiritual path depends on how far we have understood delusion. What is the delusion that brings us suffering? Before we experience something, we think that experience was here. After experience, we think still it is happening. That is the one of the natures of delusion. The other thing is, when we experience something outside, we think happiness or suffering comes from outside. It doesn't mean that actually the real thing, the cause of happiness or suffering is inside. It doesn't mean that there are nothing outside. There is something outside. What are the things which is outside? Outside we can see only four fundamental elements: earth element, water element, fire element, and wind element. Those are the primary elements which can be seen outside. We name, we understand outside things and persons according to our mental condition, according to our delusion, craving, and karmic energy. When you meet some person, you may think that this is my mom. When your grandma is here, grandma thinks that this is my daughter. When your dad is here, your dad thinks this is my wife. If you have children, your children may think that this is my grandma. We recognize people according to our mental condition. But outside, there are only four fundamental elements. And this experience is not permanent. When you think just now your mom, if she is living, when you remember her service, you are grateful. When you remember something as a mistake of her life, then you may be angry. And if she is sick, you are compassionate. You are so sad, my mom is sick. At the same time, at some time you are angry. Sometimes you are grateful. Sometimes you are compassionate. But the outside pain is same. According to our present mental conditions, our happiness or suffering arises. That experience is not permanent. That experience is not outside or inside. Sometimes you may think that there is no permanent outside, but there is some permanent thing inside, in my mind. Actually, that is also not true. My mental conditions also changes according to the present condition. Then if we can understand this reality, if we can see this reality with intelligence, wisdom, with understanding of impermanence, then our mind is not fixed in outside. And also, our mind is not fixed in our mind too. Our mind is with intelligence, wisdom, panya or jnana. What is the panya? What is the jnana? What is the wisdom? That Buddha explains. Understanding of impermanence. Understanding of the dependent origination. Understanding of the dependent origination is the heart of Buddhism. Our spiritual path completely depends on understanding of impermanence, understanding of the dependent origination. Until we recognize the real meaning of impermanence, our spiritual path doesn't open. Our spiritual path, the door of our spiritual path opens with the understanding of the impermanence, with the understanding of the dependent origination. It doesn't mean that we can do good deeds. Actually, we can practice generosity. We can practice loving kindness. We can practice morality, virtue, even though we don't have this understanding. That is why Buddha has explained two paths, two ways. One of them is heavenly path, Saggamagga, the way how we become a blissful life. When our mind is pure, from negative thoughts, with generosity, loving kindness, compassion, then we can acquire, we can fulfill, we can develop positive thoughts. When you offer something to others, your mind is so calm and quiet. When you remember someone who has good character, then your mind is so pure and calm. When you remember your close friend who has a lot of qualities, your face is like a flower. When you think Buddha's noble qualities, our mind is so pure and calm. When we think Buddha's noble disciples, enlightened persons, actually our mind is so pure and calm, because our mind has no anger, no jealousy, no attachment, no greed. And while we are practicing these positive thoughts, such as generosity, loving kindness, compassion, still we are in ignorance. Even though we have overcome the misunderstanding of the karmic law, even though we have the knowledge of karmic law, when you think something, not only bad things, but if you have practiced some generosity, if you have given something to others, if you think that incident, your mind is pure, but still you are in ignorance because you think the things and persons, when you practice generosity, is still in the world. When you think, for example, if you have offered something to Buddha in front of a pagoda or statue in here or Sri Lanka or India or anywhere, then your mind is there. You think that incident is outside. Then your mind is pure, but you are not away from the samsaric circle. When you think the offering that you did in India, where Buddha was born, then your mind is pure. When you are thinking that incident, if you die, you will be reborn in a blissful life. But you will receive not only a blissful life, at the same time, you will receive decay, sickness, death, and you receive with all things, not only your blissful birth. That is why we should find the deliverance path. It doesn't mean that we should be hurried to achieve enlightenment. Our purpose not should be to attain enlightenment. Our purpose should be to get rid of suffering. Buddha explained his teachings not for enlightenment, but for getting rid of suffering. Sometimes, if I ask you, do you like to enlightenment at this moment? Sometimes you may be not agree. But if I ask you, do you like to overcome suffering? Then everyone likes it. Our purpose should be to overcome suffering. Suffering, getting rid of suffering is not afterlife. Getting rid of suffering can be gained in this life while we are living. And whenever your mind is in the understanding of impermanence, at that moment you are away from sickness, decay, anger, death, even rebirth. When your mind is completely fixed in this understanding, when I explain this message, even though you have pain physically, actually you don't feel it. Even though you are old, you don't feel your age when your mind is in this understanding. That is why we should go forward little by little on this path of liberation, the deliverance path. For a blissful life, it is enough to have a knowledge of the karmic law. But when we go to the second level of intelligence, sammaditthi, right understanding, we should have a clear understanding in impermanence, the dependent origination. Impermanence. Every moment, our six senses arise and cease. Every moment, external objects arise and cease. Even though we don't look at this wall, it is here, but the rupa or matter arises in the deeper level when I open my eyes. This sound is alive when my ears are open and my consciousness is here. Even though a lot of sounds around this environment, if you don't have your attention or consciousness, you don't experience those sounds. Those sounds are alive when your senses are open, when your attention is here. And we have only one experience at once through one sense at once. Because of these 6 senses are very fast, we may think that these 6 senses act together. But be sure, one sense acts or is alive at once. Then other 5 things are not here. And if we can reflect on this impermanence again and again, if we can live in this understanding for a long time, then as soon as we see something, as soon as we hear something, we are ready to accept the reality. We have a balanced mind. Now, in this level, outside people and things can get attraction of ours. We depend on outside. When the people and things are very clear and nice, we are happy. When outside things and people are upset, we also get upset. Now we are like beggars. Beggars always depend on outside. They ask something, please give me something, give me something. Beggars. In this situation, we are like beggars. We are waiting until other people laugh with us, when other people come to us. And by listening to Dhamma, by reflecting on Dhamma, by practicing Dhamma, we try to create an independent mind with the understanding of the path of liberation. Here, Buddha says in the discourse of Vibhanga, what is the real liberation? What is the real protection, refuge in our life? Buddha says in several places, many places, what is the real protection in our life? We have 6 senses. We have 6 senses. What are the 6 senses?
See.
Eyes, ears, nose,
mouth,
tongue, physical body, mind. Those are the 6 senses. And Buddha says, for the 5 senses, mind is the refuge. Mind is the refuge or protection for 5 senses. And again Buddha says, even though we have mind for our 5 senses, we have no real protection or refuge until we have mindfulness. Mindfulness is the refuge of protection for the mind. And again Buddha says, liberation from negative thoughts, greed, anger and delusion. Vimukti or liberation is the refuge or protection for mindfulness. Again Buddha says, enlightenment, nibbana or wisdom is the protection for the liberation. Nibbana or enlightenment. Enlightenment is the refuge for the liberation. Liberation is the protection or refuge for the mindfulness. Mindfulness is the refuge for the mind, to the mind. Mind is the refuge to five senses. In this situation, the close refuge that we should create, develop mindfulness. Mindfulness is one of the major teachings among Buddhist doctrines. Buddha says very clearly the importance of practicing mindfulness. Buddha says, Sattanang Visuddhiya, for the purification of beings. Soka Pariddavanam Samatikkamaya, for the overcoming of sorrow and lamentation. Dukkha Domanassanam Atsangamaya, for the destruction of pain and grief. Nyaya Sadigamaya, for the gaining of knowledge. Nibbana Sahajikiryaya, for the attaining of Nibbana. Buddha explains practicing only thing which is mindfulness. Practicing mindfulness is the only way to purify our mind. Practicing mindfulness is the only way to overcome sorrow and lamentation. Practicing mindfulness is the only way to destruct our pain and grief. Practicing mindfulness is the only way to gain knowledge. Practicing mindfulness is the only way to achieve or attain enlightenment. In this situation, mindfulness is a very famous topic in the current society. Many people think that it is very easy to practice. How do they advise us to practice mindfulness? Forget your past. Forget your future. Keep your mind in the present moment. That is mindfulness. Very easy. Is this Buddhism? No. This is not Buddhism. Even though they explain the word of mindfulness, it is not Buddhism. If you want to understand Buddhist mindfulness, especially you have to understand this discourse, Vibhanga Sutta, the discourse of analyzing of mindfulness. Here Buddha says, Satipatthānaṁ vo bhikkhave desissāmi Satipatthāna bhāvanaṁ Satipatthāna bhāvana gāmini patipadanca. I explain you mindfulness, mindful meditation, and the path of mindful meditation. These three things are very, very, very important. What they are? What is the first one? Mindfulness. Second one? Mindful meditation. The third one? The path to mindful meditation. Mindfulness is like, when we go to a place, first Not first, one of the steps that driving a car or vehicle. It is like mindfulness. Okay? And the second one, road. We should have a path or road. That is like mindful meditation. And also, we should know the address or map where we are going to, the destination. What is the destination? What is the address? The path of mindful meditation. What is the vehicle? What is the vehicle? Vehicle is mind and body. Mind and body is the vehicle. Driving is mindfulness. And road is mindful meditation. The map or address is like mindful meditation path. When we start the journey, first, what should we have? When we start this journey, first of all, what should we have? Address. Even though we have courage, effort, if we don't know the place where we are going to, our effort, energy, dedication is useless. You know, we can see a lot of people in the world. They have energy, they practice meditation. But if we ask them, what's the destination? What is the nature of your final goal? They may think that after I receive the destination, I find the destination. Is it correct? When you drive, when you start a journey or trip, you may think that after I drive, I will find the place. It is true? No. It is not true. Before you start the journey, you should have clear understanding, the map or destination, where you are going to. Like that, before we start this path, we should have clear understanding. What is the destination? What is the map? Address. What is the address of this spiritual path? Understanding of the Eightfold Path with Sammaditthi, right understanding. What is the right understanding? Right understanding means understanding of the dependent origination, the knowledge of arising and ceasing of suffering. How suffering arises? Whenever we think something is permanent, whatever we think before we experience it is here. If we think after experience it remains, this is the biggest, huge delusion or cause of suffering. Until we overcome this misunderstanding, we are in the circle of samsara. If we want to overcome suffering, the samsaric journey, the circle of samsara, we should understand this impermanence. Whenever you are unhappy, whenever you are suffering, be sure it means your mind is in past or future. Not only in the past or future, sometimes your mind is in the present, but you think that the experience is outside. Even some dogs, even your children, they don't think they are past or future. But in the present, they are ignorant. When we experience something through their senses, they think that the experience is outside. Like, your pet, go to the mirror, she barks. Why does she bark? She barks. She thinks. She is ignorant that another dog is there. Until she understands this reality, she barks again and again. She struggles with the reflection in the mirror. We also like that. Until we realize this situation, we try to change outside. But problem is here. In this situation, when we think something which happened in the past, we should be wise. We should be intelligent. Now I read my mind. Are your parents living? Are your parents living? Still living? Yes.
One of them.
One of them. Yes. When you remember your grandparents, I think they are dead. When you remember your grandparents, as soon as you remember your grandparents, what happens to your mind? Your mind goes to past experience. Have you seen your grandparents?
My grandmother's still alive. My grandfather's.
Okay. You are so lucky.
Yes, it goes to past experience.
Okay.
It goes to remember.
When you remember your grandfather, you remember what happened in the past. But that incident is not here. Now that incident, that experience has ceased. But as soon as you remember that incident, you mostly think that still it is happening. And we are ignorant that now I read my mind. Actually this moment you are reading your mind. But if you think, if you are ignorant that still it is happening, then that experience is good, we are happy. That experience is bad, we are unhappy. And also, if your grandparents come here, if you think they are outside, then they are sick. When they are going to die, you get upset. Because you think that my grandparents are outside. But the reality is, you have got them inside. Actually, in the outside, there are only 4 elements. When you see your grandparents, you are a grandson. But when your mom sees them, they are parents. According to their mental conditions, they recognize them. They have named them according to their mental conditions. And if we have this understanding, as soon as we experience something, suddenly we look at inside. We are not ignorant outside in the present, past or future. This is the real understanding which we should have before we start this path. And we drive to achieve this understanding. First, we should get the map or address. Even though you have the address, you didn't reach the destination. Now I am giving map to you. But you have to drive according to map, reaching the destination. And first of all, we should understand this destination throughout listening to Dhamma. then Satipatthana Bhavana means we should understand what happens to my body and mind. Every moment this body arises and ceases. It is impermanent. Every moment my mind arises and ceases. My feelings arise and cease. My mental formations arise and cease. Again and again we reflect on it. What is that? It means you are driving. With the understanding of the map, you are driving now. You are reflecting on impermanence. You are reflecting on impermanence, your body, mind, feelings and mental formations. And here we should be in fourfold mindfulness. That is mindfulness. We should have mindfulness, mindful meditation, and the path of mindful meditation. We should be aware of our mind and body. We should keep our attention in mind and body. It is like sitting in the car, in the vehicle. Practicing mindfulness is like keeping our attention in our mind and body is like sitting in the car, in the vehicle. And reflecting on impermanence like driving. And having the knowledge, the destination is like the map or the eightfold path with samadhi. And again, when we go on this path, mindfulness is not away from our life. Buddha has explained in the great discourse of mindfulness, Mahasatipatthana Sutta, our all actions, behaviors and thinking should be in mindfulness from morning to night, like we breathe in and out. Whatever we do, whatever which happens to our life, we should be aware of. And first, we should be aware of our physical body. What happens to our body? Our body has several things, like breathing in and out, and 4 postures: sitting, standing, walking, lying down. 4 postures. We should be aware of these 4 postures. And we should be aware of our behavior. Iriyapata. Whatever we do. When you drink something, you should do it with mindfulness. When you call your dog, you should do it with mindfulness. When you sit, you should be aware of, now I am sitting. When you are listening to me, you should be aware of, now I am listening to this. And whatever we do from morning to night, we should do everything with mindfulness. If we can do everything mindfully, it means we are not away from meditation. We always should spend our time to develop our sati sampajanya, mindfulness and wisdom. All Buddhist doctrines can be included into these 2 things: mindfulness, sati, and wisdom, sati sampajanya. We should keep our attention, awareness in our mind and body, and we should reflect on impermanence. And also, again we think that what happens to my body My body consists in 4 fundamental elements. Even though I think this is a person, actually this body has only these 4 elements and mind. What are the 4 elements? Earth element, water element, fire element and wind element. This body consists of these 4 things. And also, we reflect on what happens to my body after I die. It has several steps. Little by little, it changes from dead body to skeleton. We reflect on all these situations which happens to our physical body. Then we understand this is not a permanent person. This is something which happens with mind. Then this has no soul, no ego. This is only the physical body. And also we understand this physical body is a result of food. When we come to our mother's womb, and also when after we were born in the world, we became this position because of food that we ate. This is one of the projection of our food that we ate. And it mixed with our mind. And however, this body is a result of food that we have been eating from birth to now. And this is the understanding what we receive throughout practicing Kayanupassana, the contemplation of body. And we continue this path and then we practice Vedananupassana. When we feel some feelings in our body or mind, we get 6 feelings through 6 senses. When you are listening to this message through your ears, if you feel happy, that is also one of the feelings, not only physical pain. Feelings means that we receive through our 6 senses. Sometimes it is painful, sometimes it is happy, sometimes it is neutral. However, it relates to feelings. That feeling is not permanent. That feelings arise at the moment according to conditions. For example, if your close friend has died at this moment, you are in front of the dead body. Then as soon as you see that body, you feel suffering. You feel suffering. And again someone make a joke. While dead body is here, someone makes a joke. Then you happy. Then sometimes someone came and blame you. Then you get angry. Your friend is here, that dead body is here, that person who blamed is here. Your feelings are not certain. It's impermanent. When you attention to the dead body, you are sad. When you pay your attention to the person who appreciated you, who made the joke, then you are happy. When you pay attention to the person who blamed you, you are angry. That feelings are impermanent. Every moment, that feelings arise and cease. Throughout practicing Vedananupassana, we realize we understand the nature of feelings. Feelings are not permanent, and also feelings have no soul, because we can control it. That is the nature of it and that situation. And if we can realize, if we can understand this reality, we have no attachment or disattachment with feelings. We are like observers. Our mind doesn't combine to the feelings. We are like people who are observers. And then we can understand from feelings arise because of the feelings and inner senses are together. That sound, like this sound, when you listen to this sound, when you listen to my voice, if you feel happy, that experience, that happy feelings arise this moment. It is not permanent. According to your mental conditions, you create your feelings. You are happy when I preach you, when someone may think that it is boring, but my sound is same. And this is the nature of feelings. Throughout practicing Vedanupassana, we recognize, we understand the nature of feelings. Then our attachment to feelings go away. We become like observers without suffering and happiness. Actually, when we see the reality, we achieve the real happiness, because we have no greed or disattachment. But people may think that, ordinary people think that if we have good experience, they are happy. But that external happiness ends with sorrow and lamentation. But inner happiness, it doesn't go away. Day by day, that inner happiness increases. And also third level, Chittanupassana. When we go to the deeper level, we are aware of our consciousness, mind. We have full attention at the moment, what happens to my mind. Whether it is angry, or happy, or lustful, we recognize what happens to my mind at the moment. Then we understand, now my mind is angry, now my mind is happy, now my mind is intelligent. We understand the mental situation, and also we understand the impermanence of mind. Then our attachment to mind also goes away. And finally, in the Dhammanupassana, the contemplating on mental formations, we understand our mental formations, negative and positive. When we have 5 hindrances, nivarana, like sensual desire, anger, we recognize I have these kind of negative thoughts. When we recognize these things, we are shy. For example, when you are angry, if I say, are you angry now? Then you are shy. Then we are like that when we practice Dhammanupassana. We are shy when we have negative thoughts, defilements, hindrances. And also, we have positive thoughts, like spiritual faculties, 7 spiritual enlightenment factors, Satta Bojjhanga. When we have the knowledge of fourfold mindfulness, we are knowledgeable, we are proud of our intelligence, and we try to develop these positive thoughts. Finally, we focus on intelligence, wisdom, panya. We try to keep our full attention, our thoughts in wisdom with the understanding of arising and ceasing of our experiences that we receive through our six senses. Our real success completely depends on the duration that we practice, that we reflect on impermanence. Our real success completely depends on getting rid of suffering, gaining enlightenment, achieving wisdom. Completely depends on the duration that we practice impermanence. Whenever we practice impermanence, vipassana bhavana, insight meditation, at that moment we are away from suffering, like decay, sickness, death, even rebirth. When you think something, you should be intelligent to recognize this thought comes this moment, this thought arises this moment, it is not permanent. When you think your daughter, that experience you create at the moment. If you think your daughter is playing, actually now she is reading a book, now she is cleaning the house. If you can understand this thought arise this moment, then we realize the real nature, the reality of our thoughts, which is impermanence. It doesn't mean that after this experience we are lazy. Actually, we are practical people in the world after this experience. After this experience, we do everything with mindfulness. When you work, when you exercise, when you wash your clothes, when you cook at home, you do everything with mindfulness. One of the signs that you are on the path of liberation is that you are happy at the moment while you are doing something. Now, we may think that my happiness, my satisfactoriness comes after I finish this thing. Now, our happiness is in future. You may think that after you finish this class, when I go home, there is my satisfaction. If you think that after you go home, you may think that after I sleep, that is the place where is my happiness. When you sleep, you think that in the morning, after I go to the workplace, there is the place where is my satisfaction. After you go to workplace, you may think that after you will come back in the evening tomorrow, that is the place where is your happiness. Every day, every moment you think that your happiness is in future, but that future never comes to you. But with this understanding, with mindfulness and wisdom, where is the place, where is our happiness? Our happiness is right now, in this moment. While we are doing these things, we are happy. It doesn't mean that we should forget our past or future. We can think anything. We can plan our future. It doesn't matter. But we do it with mindfulness. We are not ignorant. in these works. And for that, first of all, we should have the knowledge of map or address about the destination where we reach, with the understanding of the impermanence and the dependent origination. And also, we should practice impermanence, arising and ceasing. And also, in mindfulness, we should be aware of our body and mind. In short, with details, we should be aware of our body, feelings, mind and mental formation. And finally, we find the real thing that we have throughout these all experiences. What is the bottom level that we have like our dowry? 5 aggregates. Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana. Whatever we experience through our 6 senses, immediately these 5 things invisibly arise. But we can see them. We understand these 5 things with our intelligence. The bottom level of our whole experience is 5 aggregates. If you drink something, if you see this, if you keep your hand here, whatever we do through your 6 senses is arising 5 aggregates. Not only arising, but immediately those experience, those 5 things cease. The most important sentence in Buddhism is Ahutva Sambuddham Hutva Navavisati. Not being occurred comes to occurrence. Being occurred will not go to occurrence. This is the highest knowledge among all knowledge in the world, which is created during last many years, millions of years. This is the most valuable knowledge. You know, there are many scientific philosophies, teachings in the world. Among them, be sure this is the most valuable knowledge in the world, because this is the knowledge that Buddha received as the result of practicing his intelligence for Sara Sankhya Kalpalaksa. I don't know how to say it in English. It is many years. As the result of research, experiment for trillions of eons, Buddha realized, discovered, analyzed and proclaimed this reality. Have any question? And for that, we have the map. Now we should develop our courage, dedication. This is the place where we should be confident. This is the place, impermanence or dependent origination, the place where we should be confident. Like when you receive address before you go to a place, never you have gone. First of all, you should have a confidence. Without confidence, you can't reach the destination. When you go to a doctor, you have a confidence that doctor has qualifications. When you go to a classroom in the college or university, you have a confidence that teacher that teacher or professor has qualifications as teacher or professor. That is why you go there. If you are doubtful, you have nothing. Here also, we should be confident. It doesn't mean that we should have a blind faith. Buddha never says, come and believe. Buddha says you, come and see. Ehipasika. This is the difference in Buddhism. Buddhism never says you that come and believe me. Buddha says come and see through your knowledge by listening this message. When we practice this message, actually we can receive the experience. We can discover the real peace or liberation. Then it is our own knowledge. Okay, thank you for your good attention, and I wish you all the best. You receive this message because of your merits that you have done. It is not my merit. It is your merit that you have done in your previous lives. Okay, now we are going to transfer the merits that we acquired at the moment. By the power of all these merits, may our departed relatives receive these merits and may they enhance their spiritual energy, and finally may they attain final bliss of liberation. Now you think your departed relatives who are needing merits, and now we transfer merits to them reciting the Gatha. Idam me ñātīnam hotu sukhitā hontu ñātayo. Idam me ñātīnam hotu sukhitā hontu ñātayo. Idam me ñātīnam hotu sukhitā hontu ñātayo. By the power of all these merits, may guardian deities and angels also receive these merits, and may they enhance their spiritual energy, may they keep their eye on you too, may they also attain final bliss of liberation. With that intention, let's transfer these merits to guardian deities and angels too, reciting the Gatha. Ākāsattha ca bhummattha devānāgā mahiddhikā puññantaṃ anumoditvā cirang rakkhantu sāsanam. Ākāsattha ca bhummattha devānāgā mahiddhikā puññantaṃ anumoditvā cirang rakkhantu desanam. Ākāsattha ca bhummattha devānāgā mahiddhikā puññantaṃ anumoditvā cirang rakkhantu tvaṃ sadā. By the power of all these spiritual energies, may you be well, happy and peaceful. May no harm come to you, may no problems come to you. May your all righteous wishes meet with success. Finally, may all of us attain final bliss of liberation. Dukkham pantāca nindukkhā, bhayam pantāca nirvayā, sokam pantāca nissokā, anto sambe pipānino. Dukin telena sat, dukin medetvā, bien telena sat, bien netivetvā, sovim tevena sat, somnas vetvā, nitin mehemas, suapat vetvā. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.